Welcome to my channel. My name is Alazar. I'm a security analyst. I have been in IT for 5 years and I've worked in different fields in the past 5 years, including IT administrator, network analyst, and then right now I'm a security analyst and IT administrator. Recently, I passed my CISSP. That's the reason that I'm making this video because I want others to use it to pass the exam because I passed it on my own way of studying. I didn't have to buy any boot camp. I didn't have to purchase any different types of books. I just used the official CIS book and some uh, question banks, and then I was able to pass the exam. But to be honest, I used one different strategy that made me, I believe, pass the exam. So that's why I wanted to share it for others that are gonna take the exam in the coming days or in the coming years. So the biggest tool, to be honest, that helped me is mainly ChatGPT, but there's a specific way I used it. I did not just look for shortcuts or brain dumps or memorize answers. I used it as a study coach. In this video, I'll explain the exact strategy I used, how I studied each chapter, how I simplified difficult topics, and how I created practice questions, and how I trained myself to think like a SIS manager. So let's dive in. Before we start, I want to talk to you about some mentality. Um, Before you start preparing for the exam, you have to um, get your mind into some sort of perspective. The first perspective is you will never know everything. Please don't try to know everything because that's going to be time wasting. Because at the end of the day, there's no one who knows everything. And what's going to happen is the more you try to know everything, the more you're going to push the exam date. So, because you think that you're not ready because you don't know everything. And the reason that you don't know everything is because you can never know everything. So that's the first red flag that you have to remove from your mindset. So try to understand concepts. Try to understand better how you can answer questions rather than focusing on knowing each and every details page by page. That's impossible. No one's gonna know that. So because there is 8 domains, it's very huge. The chance of you knowing everything is slim to none. So instead, focus on concepts and how to answer questions and how to make a better decision. That's what you have to focus on. Once you worked on your mindset or start working on the mindset because you're going to need it for the next 6 months, you have to start setting expectation aside, telling yourself that CISP is not just a technical exam. It's more of a decision making or a managerial perspective exam. Of course, you have to know technicality. uh, Trust me, on the exam there are very enough amount of technical questions, but majority is decision making. So it's not only asking you, do you know encryption? Do you know access control? It's asking you, can you make the best security decision for the business? Okay, I know you know it, but can you make the best decision? So my study goal was not just to summarize or emphasize terms. My goal was to understand the concepts well enough because something you memorize always you're gonna forget it. But if you have the concepts, whether they change the way they ask the question, you will answer it. So uh, so you have to be able to explain them in a simple language and apply them in real world scenario. That's very important. Real world scenario. If you don't understand the concepts in how it works in a real world scenario, then that's going to be tough. So set expectation aside that for the next 6 months or 9 months or 4 months, whatever time you're going to prepare for CISP, that you're not just a technical person, that you're a decision maker and also a technical person. So remember that. Set expectation aside. When I started studying, some topics were difficult to understand from the book alone. The information was correct, but sometimes it was too dense. So I would read the page and understand some words, but I would still ask myself like, how does this apply in real life? How will this appear on the exam? That's when I started using ChatGPT differently. I did not just ask for like summarize it for me or paraphrase it for me. I asked ChatGPT to teach me, to be my coach. So I basically what I did was I created my own agentic AI inside ChatGPT that's dedicated just for CISP studying, and I had to train it. Training it by means I had to change the settings of the agent, also fitted the right documents to prepare me for this CISP exam. So it went well for me that way because the agent was specifically focused on CISP. And the interesting part is the more we study, the more it was getting very, very smart. And it was helping me a lot when it comes to um, grasping concepts, explaining concepts, difficult concepts. So yeah, that's how this was my problem when I first started studying. So by now you're probably wondering what's my method. Uh, so my method is very simple. It's not, you know, unique because by now everyone is using AI for studying and for certifications and everything. Uh, but my method was specific. So sorry. So I asked ChatGPT to explain it in layers, not just one prompt. So first, explain it in a plain English. Second, give me a deeper explanation. Third, give me a real world example. Fourth, compare it with similar concepts. Fifth, show me the CISP exam trump, and then explain it with the manager mindset. And at last, I will ask for scenario based questions. If I got the answer wrong, explain why my thinking was wrong. The last part was very important because CISP is not only about knowing the right answer, it's about understanding why the other answers are wrong. Because trust me, all I sat on the exam and I heard about it before the exam as well, but I made sure that this is correct thing. On the exam, when you sit on one single question, there are two correct answers, minimum two correct answers. Sometimes there might not be, there's only one correct answer, but most of the time, there could be two or three correct answers. So that's why your decision making is going to be very useful. You're going to answer the right, you're going to select the right correct answer. If you don't have a better decision, the other choices are also answered. So you're going to select that. You'll think that it's correct because you're a technical person. But when it comes to decision, when it comes to risk evaluation, when it comes to business analysis, it's not going to work. So your answer will be wrong. Okay, now I'll give you an example, prompts example that you can use to make ChatGPT give you what you want. Um, One thing mine is different is I'm not using the regular ChatGPT. It's a Pro ChatGPT Plus. I created, like I told you earlier, I created my own agentic AI inside ChatGPT. So that's a bit different, but these are some of the prompts that I used. So this type of prompt worked because it forced me to understand the topic from different angles. For example, I'll give you an example. If I studied about Bella Padula is a security model that is on domain three of the CISP domains. I did not only want the definition, I wanted to know the Bella Padula is mainly about confidentiality. I wanted to understand no read, up and no read, no write down. I wanted a real world example. That's the most important part. So, see, ChatGPT was giving me real world examples where Bella Padula can be used. It could be used in an environment where confidentiality is very important. And it was giving me uh, government um, organizations or government classified information should be protected by Bella Padula. So, and CIS may trick you by comparing it with BIPA. BIPA is like another security model that focuses on integrity. So ChatGPT will explain what's difference, where you have to do use which where, and it gives you at least five real world scenario questions. If you ask it, okay, I want a real world example how I can use Bella Padula, or how Bella Padula and Pipa can be used in real life world, or how can they be asked on a question. And it will clearly give you 10 questions, and it will give you all the possibilities how they might appear on the exam. This is one of the prompts that I used to use. There are many prompts because I trained my own agent. I used a lot of documentations, a lot of prompts I feed it. So yeah, but you can start training your own agent, or maybe use some of the prompts. So now I'm gonna tell you how I use ChatGPT for difficult topics, because some of the concepts and the topics I wasn't able to understand easily. I struggled a lot, especially similar topics. For example, BCP and DRP. They usually come up together in questions because um, they know that these topics are interrelated, and people tends to struggle um, the difference between to know the difference between BCP and DRP, because they DRP is part of BCP, but you don't know where what time is gonna kick in. But BCP owns DRP. It's DRP is part of BCP basically. So how do you differentiate this when it comes to real world? Understanding, like I told you earlier, I'm telling you again and again, the reason I'm saying real world is because the moment you understand things, how they work in real world, in real workplace, you will never forget that thing. So that's why I keep telling people, when you train for certification exams, try to put yourself in a real world scenario, try to put yourself in a real workplace, and how you're gonna apply those points in workplace. Then the moment you that click in, that's it. You will be fine when you see it on the exam. So BCP is about keeping the business operating. DRP is about recovering IT systems after disruption. So for when I first read it on the book, I thought, okay, I was confused. Which one is gonna come uh, first, and which one owns which one? Are they different, or are they work together? Because they seem like they're talking about the same thing. This was very much explained to me by ChatGPT easily. Easily. Another example is cryptography. Very dense concept. Very one of the hardest topics in CISSP. ChatGPT will compare encryption, hashing, digital signatures, whatever you name it, symmetric encryption, asymmetric encryption, certificates. It will explain it to you one by one, and which one you have to use in which scenario. For example, if you want confidentiality, use encryption. If you want integrity, use hashing. If you want authentication and reputation, use digital signatures and digital certificates. These kinds of things ChatGPT will interrelate them, explain well for you, put it in a real world scenario. Once you have that, then you're set for the exam. The next thing you have to do is practice questions, and you'll be ready. So when you have a difficult topic, don't just read through it again and again, because that will waste your time. What you have to do instead is choose one of the AIs. For me, it was ChatGPT. Then, if you can, create an agentic AI. If not, just use the regular ChatGPT, and then ask questions. It will explain to you easily, and then ask him to put it in a real world scenario. Ask him to give you questions and see trap questions. Then it will give you easily. It will help you to understand. So this one is about how I practice questions, and you're gonna need practice questions, one way or another. There's no there's no running away from that. You have to do questions at least the minimum. My suggestion is 3,000 questions. That's I did around 3,500. But if you do more, I would be amazing. The reason I say question is important is because uh, if you want to sharp your mind into becoming a manager and decision maker, you need to do questions. That's a must before the exam. So, so one important thing I want to say clearly is I did not use just brain dumps or real exam questions only. I used that as well. I used the CISP official question book. I used the Watson.com question banks. It helped me a lot, but I did something different. I use ChatGPT to create scenario-based practice questions for me. I would ask it to quiz me on one question at a time, wait for my answer, because my mine is an agentic AI. We were going back and forth. It's not like, okay, ask me a question and you're gonna wait for me. He knows that when it's question answer time, it's gonna ask me a question, wait for my answer. When I give him the answer, then it tells me, okay, you did wrong or you did good. Um, for this reason, this answer was correct. For this reason, this answer was wrong. The other choices are not an answer because of this. The other choices are answered because of this. These kinds of things, when you have an agentic AI, it's easier. But even if with the normal ChatGPT Pro, you can also go back and forth with your with the ChatGPT and get question explanations. This helped me train my thinking. Like I said, questions is it's not like you're gonna remember every question and go to the exam and then okay, oh, I find similar questions. This is on my practice question, so let me answer it. It's the same. You'll never find. Mostly, you'll never find. Maybe you can find one or two questions, but mostly you'll never find the same question. So what it does previous questions are it sharpens your mind, it trains your thinking into become a better decision maker and into answering better um, into answering questions in a better way. The basis answer is often the most technical. It's not the most technical one. Instead, it's the most that follows policy, that supports the business, that reduces the risk, that uses proper governance. Such kinds of things. So it will sharpen your mind into focus on what I said now, rather than always going for technical answers. Because as technical people, we go exactly to the technical answer without calculating the risk, without checking, did I um, give it a proper governance? Did I follow the policy? Is the business supported well? We don't usually consider those things. So that's why CISP is one of the hardest exam for technical people because you have to consider um, decision making and risk before you select an answer. So one of the biggest lessons I learned is that CISP wants you to think like a manager. I've been saying it throughout the video, think like a manager. And you've probably heard other people who already took the CISP and other trainers saying about think like a manager. It is indeed, it's a think like a manager exam. And I'm not saying technicality is not there. Technicality is needed and it's there. But once you have the technicality, you have to go one level up and make the right decision. So in real IT work, we often want to fix the problem and then we immediately move on. Uh, Sometimes even without documentation. But on CISP, the best answer may be to assess risk, follow policy, notify the right people, document the issue, or choose the control that best supports the business. So something is working in IT, technical people, okay, leave it. We don't want to touch it. It's working. That's good. But if it's a manager or a CIS person or a manager perspective is like, what's the risk? I need to know the risk. I need to know you're following the policy. I need to know you notify the right people. Do you have a documentation? So these kinds of things are your mindset should look forward to these kinds of things. Then you're gonna start really thinking like a manager. So if you're gonna take CIS or any certificates in the coming days, my suggestion or my advice to you is if you're studying for CIS, do not just go to any AI and just tell it to summarize and just emphasize it to me or paraphrase it to me and then just read it and then do some questions from some question bank and go to your exam. Instead, use it as a coach. Don't trust it blindly because AI can make mistake. But for the most part, it's great study partner, and it worked for me. I hope it works for you as well. That will make your life easier. Um, Ask it to explain, compare, quiz you, correct, and challenge you. Also, do not skip difficult topics if you don't understand it. Take it to any AI that you're using. In my case, it was ChatGPT. If it's something confusing, that's exactly where you have to use AI, where ChatGPT will jump in and explain it to you. To be honest, AIs are not that good when it comes to managerial decision, but they're not that bad. You know, they're they're better than most average people, but they're not perfect on managerial decisions. They're more advanced on technical stuff, but you can use it for managerial decision kind of question and answer and studying as well, like CISP. So it worked well for me, and it should work well for you as well if you know what you're doing. And it's better you if you have agentic AI in any of the AI platform that you're using. But the main thing is make sure you use it the right way to be successful. That's my advice to you. And if try to grasp concepts, try to create understanding rather than memorizing or summarizing or paraphrasing uh, notes and concepts. That's my advice. Good luck if you're taking the exam. So, finally, what I want to say to you is, it's better if you can create your own CISP agent for a better AI study. For me, I'm now turning this study method into a CISP AI study coach system, including chapter notes, prompt packs, practice questions, and comparison tables and exam traps explanations. I'm working on it. It's fully developed, but I wanna before I release it to public, I wanna work on it more. This will include exam traps, explanations. If you're studying for CISP and you want a simpler way to understand this topic, follow this channel. I will be sharing more CISP study tips as well as the agent when I release it. I will notify everyone here in my channel. So also I will release some AI study methods, other AI study methods as well, and then exam tips. So thanks for watching, and I'll leave my email address and LinkedIn link on the description so that you can reach out to me for any help or any question or any comment or suggestion or advice. I hope this helps you, and I hope you pass your CISP exam. Good luck. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.